Go.
Hey, welcome to River Roundtable today. I'm Pastor Lew with the River Church and these other guys.
Hey, Pastor Andrew with you here.
And Joel Pulowski, retired lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Amen.
Well, we're glad you could join us today on KSLM 104.3 and then 1220 AM. And then you can also go to our YouTubes, the River Roundtable, and then you can also go to our Facebooks, River Roundtable.
Amen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Please like and share,
Mm-hmm.
subscribe,
Share
do
and
all
like.
that stuff.
Yep.
And if you find yourself in a spot where you just don't want to use a bunch of data, but you do want to listen, and you can listen to the podcast, you can download those from KSLM.news. Go on their website there, and you can go back through all their history and download these to be able to listen.
So we're going to be talking about Oregon stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And, everybody pays attention to the national. And while people are paying attention to the national, then the Oregonian lawmakers start kicking in stuff that no one's really paying attention to. And then the next thing you know, we don't have rights.
Yeah.
Shocking.
No, they wouldn't.
Well, that's what
do-
happens when you elect a bunch of socialists.
They wouldn't do that, Pastor.
They keep pushing the envelope, trying to make something go away that consists of your constitutional rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your livelihood and inheritance.
Mhm.
Livelihood.
Inheritance is really important. When we talk about biblically, inheritance means a whole lot to the Lord, and the Lord gives an inheritance of land. He gives an inheritance of even how to make a living.
Yep.
I'm trying to segue into something.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. There's
Yeah.
a lot of there's
So-
a lot
yeah.
of things going on that what's crazy is even if you want to look at it from a biblical perspective, we have
That you're doing the crazy there.
yeah let's
We'll talk about
popcorn.
that later.
It's good for good for discussion.
Yeah. But so the last couple of weeks we've seen attacks on rural Oregonians like
it's not even just rural.
never seen before.
It's actually people that want to grow their own food,
Yeah.
even
Even if you did it in your own backyard, if
even
you're
in your
gonna
own
sell it,
backyard.
you have a half an acre lot.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
Most people don't even know that there is a law now that you cannot ship eggs that are in a controlled environment. They have to be free range eggs,
Cage free.
cage free eggs. That's
State
right.
of Oregon.
Yeah.
You can't even ship it into the state.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why your eggs have gotten so much more expensive this year.
Can you turn my ears up just a little bit, please?
So, yeah, that's a big change.
Yeah.
And then we had the change in the CAFO rules, the confined animals
Feeding.
feeding operation,
Yeah.
Correct.
and then water rights as well. And then
Land ownage.
we've seen we've seen a couple of examples of preferred land ownership happening.
Right.
We have a solar panel farm that wants to get set up down south in Lynn County.
Oh, they're doing those things
With a
left
South
and-
Korean company, and
Left
then we
and right.
have the sweetheart deal that the Chinese billionaire got to pick up 220,000 acres of land, and then we have the habitat conservation plan for our timber industry.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the other one, the timber industry.
Yeah, and so what would the Bible have to say about owning the land and possessing the land?
Yeah, well, there's a lot, but it has to do with inheritance.
Yes.
And the inheritance, they want to remove everything to where you are renting everything and you're owner of nothing. And you can say that that's conspiracy theory, but it's not, because everything that they're moving towards. Why are they giving a $750,000 not a bond, not a gift? What do they call that thing?
Grant.
Grant. Thank you.
Mhm.
Grant to builders in downtown Salem to put in apartments.
Oh, you're talking about the J.C. Penney conversion.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking
et
about
cetera.
Specifically, or just any of them.
No, any of them. I mean,
There's-
that's what they did with Nordstrom's. They tore it down and they did that.
Yeah.
The
There's been-
old bank spot, the old
Yep.
mission spot, they're going to be putting apartments in.
Yeah. There is ongoing $750,000 grants. There's been a couple or three over the last couple of years. It's in the urban renewal portion of the general fund.
Yes.
Where your tax dollars are being siphoned to pay big bucks into these contractors coming in, developers coming in and putting up these huge downtown apartment buildings. You're not seeing any of that money going into any residential housing.
No.
Right? It's
no,
only going
not
into
not nearly as much.
Yeah.
Where I live out in the canyon, there has been when I first moved in 4 years ago, there was housing developments going in, and since then, the only thing I've seen is apartment complexes
Yeah, because
coming
you
in, and they're
get all the-
squeezing them in tight too.
Well, the thing is what I find out even from the contractors is that they can get a permit, very easy to build apartments, but they cannot get permits for houses.
Strange. I thought Tina wanted us to build houses.
Yeah. No, she wants apartments.
Yeah. No, that's the diverse. Well, she did her Lego demonstration, of all the different kinds of houses. And I walked away from that Lego demonstration completely brain dead, but
I'm sure.
with the impression that she wanted to build houses. And you're telling me that's not true.
No, it's not true.
It's housing.
I'm
There's-
shocked.
There's a tricky
Yes.
little part of the verbiage there that people don't catch.
It's housing, not houses.
Houses.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But you can be an illegal alien and you can move into an abandoned house and you can
But no,
not
it doesn't
pay,
have to
and
be
not pay
abandoned.
rent, and you can do one repair on the building with a receipt, and then suddenly you own the house.
That is quite the deal. That's a housing deal right there.
Wow.
You just check Zillow, see what houses are for sale,
That's it.
and go squat.
That's it.
Amen. All right. Check ones that have been on the market for a while too. That way, I'm not giving them any help.
They don't need help. They already have they've been putting out all of the TikToks, and they've been putting out all of the things on how to take over abandoned houses. There's actually
or
whole
just
lessons
rental properties.
online to take over people's houses.
Yeah, and a federal judge just said it was perfectly legal for criminal illegal aliens who have committed a federal crime of breaking into the country to own a firearm and possess it,
What?
Yeah.
and effectively giving constitutional carry to illegal aliens. Yes, across the country.
Who did
All right.
that?
A federal judge. You missed that one, huh?
I did.
Yeah. To look at the combinations of stuff, and then you look at what happened in Texas yesterday, with a 100% military age male breakthrough of the Texas border, overpowering some National Guardsmen to get through the border, and yay.
Well, they ran through the barbed wire, but they didn't get through the wall, right?
No, there was but that wall does not extend forever, and you can climb it,
Oh yeah.
and they did.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see the whole.
Yeah,
video.
the video that showed the exciting part of them pushing past the concertina wire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, so assaults on land is the theme,
And that is the theme that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is the assault on land.
Yeah, I mean, and here's another thing also is that the state of Oregon is a sanctuary state, right? So we are a border state. I mean, believe it or not, we do have ocean on one coast also, one of our four walls of the state, so to speak.
Yes.
And so that is also open, and and yes, thank you, Oregon taxpayers. That is, you're paying for all of the abortions, you're paying for all the transgender surgeries, you're paying for all of the undocumented Democrats that are being flown in and bussed in by your federal government. These are all things that it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. If you see what is going on, do you want these people to come and just take over your backyard, to come and take over? And I don't care.
your front yard.
I don't care who they are, where they're from. You've spent your whole life working and providing and protecting for your family.
Yep.
And now, the politicians, without any approval from the voters and from the citizens of the country are just bringing all this in wholesale, there's a problem. I have a bad feeling that things are going to snowball pretty quick if people are not going to do something about it, right? If they're not going to speak up and remove people from office.
So we saw two examples this week. The first one being on Tuesday, where a woman in New York who tried to get rid of some squatters in a house, and she was arrested by the police because she changed the locks on her own house to try and keep them out. In the middle of doing the train, yes, and the police arrested her.
Where was that?
In New York, in the Bronx, I believe, or Queens, one of the two.
Yeah,
anyway,
I watched
one of those
video.
boroughs.
I watched
watched the video on that. So here's the follow up on that. The next day, some concerned citizens came and visited the squatters, and the squatters left in a hurry. They didn't even pack.
Imagine that.
Okay, and I can't imagine what those folks said to him. All right, other than something along the lines of,
leave.
"You have 24 hours." Followed by deadpan stare,
along with the one-eyed stare.
Yes, and then the next issue today. Story came out this morning where a woman who went into a home that she owned and wanted to evict the squatters. Well, they just killed her and dumped her body out back in a shallow grave and continued to live in the house. And the smell eventually busted them. But yes, so that's what this is coming to. All right, unless some law and order gets reestablished. All right, because you can't have 8 to however many million illegal alien
that are continuing to come
military age males who are looking for who are posting videos about, hey, just go take it. Just go take it.
Yeah, well, they're giving it to you.
We're having there was a gang in Venezuela called the 43 line, and that was the train line they ran. All right, they gathered up all their belongings together a few months ago and moved to New York.
Whoa!
En masse, the whole gang. Why? Because it's easier pickings here.
Wow,
that is not. They are not the only one.
Yeah,
they're not. Yeah, MS-13 doesn't exist in El Salvador anymore. Doing very well in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yikes.
So, and this is all coming back to you have people who are after the land from both sides, from both the government side and from the criminal side. And we're just going to continue to see it escalate. And eventually it gets to
martial law.
Yeah. Eventually it gets to that and, vigilante justice.
Right.
Because if the police aren't doing it, people will defend what they own. So we got a video we should listen to and talk about.
Well, we're talking about what's going on in Oregon.
Yep.
We talked about those things, and those things are very real. But what is happening to the farmers and ranchers and produce producers in Oregon, people don't know this stuff. They just don't know.
It doesn't make the news.
You're not going to see it on the news.
Yeah, Coin News
like
is not
it should have been.
Yeah.
It should actually be an outrage on things, but whatever. But we're talking about small farms that are required to have permits for water, and you can only have so much water. The policy on permits to milk one cow or one goat.
If you have gravel, a fibrous substrate, or concrete that you do any of the work with the critters where their manure can be washed off of, then this is something that the state is on it
because it has to do with climate change.
Groundwater.
Groundwater. Well, that's the climate change.
Yes, it's all still the same agenda.
The same thing. And so there's an article here on, and we'll talk about this with the video also, but we're going to pull up this one on Statesman Urinal. Where did that go to? Up one here. The talking about the goats and the stuff there. We'll pull that up. Well, I don't know if we can because you have to sign into the stupid Statesman urinal even to get it done.
Oh, good grief.
You can get some
Nope.
of it.
I can't.
You probably watch too many.
You've watched too many of the
For free.
read too many of their
Yeah,
articles.
so because that's my account, it's not going to work.
Basically, it's Oregon Department of Ag.
You can pull that up, see what happens.
Had done administrative rules that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and
Never mind.
Never mind.
There's an advertisement.
Just got to close that.
There you go. Is that it still?
Nope.
No, go back.
Up.
Yeah.
Just hit the back button.
There we
it
are.
is.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go to full screen? Well,
No, it's still there. There's just different
Okay.
advertisement flying in the background.
yeah, you get rid of the thing on the right-hand corner down at the bottom. There you go. Go ahead and pull that up into the screen by screen.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yep.
Here's the article on that, which is, I can't read it on mine, so you guys are going to have to do it on yours.
Yeah, it's so we're talking about the CAFO policy here, and it was reversed yesterday, but only to be relooked. And the reason why is, well, lawsuits,
Mm-hmm.
and there. I think my favorite line in here. Let me find this. Anyway, the big ag went to the Department of Agriculture here and said, "Hey, all those small farmers,
You scroll up
it's
on it.
unfair that they don't have to live under the same rules that we do."
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Which
And-
is mega.
which is
You should be able to do that
So
with
a-
side by
thousands
side.
of critters or hundreds, even
yeah,
hundreds.
yeah, even 100 head of cattle, all right, in a dairy farm,
Yeah.
in a milking barn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, trust me, that's a mess.
Yeah.
when
It
they're
is a
done.
mess. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, because and I've cleaned one of those. I had an uncle who was a dairy farmer,
Mhm.
and I was very glad when he's switched over to beef cattle. But you can't compare that to 2 cows or 3 cows.
Right.
All right, it's just that are in a small milking stand that might have gravel on it or might not. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
they put down for a substrate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close to the same impact.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
they were even trying to do it with shearing.
Yes.
Like if you're doing your shearing not just on the ground in a random place at random times, but if you bring them to a centralized spot to do the shearing,
Yeah, a clean area.
then you've got to have this permitting. You've got to do. And the funny thing is about all this, that I always go back to, is you pay for the permit, but there's still no change of what happens.
Right.
They might, if you get to a certain volume, then they'll change it to where you have to, you actually have to remediate. You have to capture. You have to take your effluent and pump it out to a different place and make it so there's a less part per million per acre, et cetera,
yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah.
et
You got to
cetera.
spread it out.
Yeah, type of thing that they do with it. Which
Yeah, but
I-
we're talking
I
about
get that.
small farms. We're talking about
Right.
small farms.
Right.
So let's go to this video because it talks
Yeah.
about Oregon shuts down small farms to protect the people.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll listen to this guy here.
Why the small dairies have filed a lawsuit against the state. And really, I think from the list that you just heard me read, anybody who's producing eggs, it doesn't matter the size of the operation. You could have 2 milking cows. Okay, so here's an example for you. Sarah King, who owns Godspeed Hollow Farm in Newburgh, Oregon, has
Well, that name is
a
problematic.
pickup station that's just 100 feet in length. She has an 11-acre property and keeps things pretty simple. She has 3 milking cows. She's been shut
3.
down for being called a CAFO. But because she has that milking stand, the state of Oregon said, you are a CAFO. And because you are considered a CAFO, we require you to put in this infrastructure improvement, which would cost her $100,000 she could never do with a couple cows. We're requiring this massive infrastructure upgrade for you to continue to operate your facilities to protect our groundwater from your 2 cows standing on a milking stand. And this is a problem that I see. The way that they have redefined CAFOs is going to impact nearly everybody. I mean, even on our farm, everybody's out to pasture. We don't have animals that are necessarily contained in one area. But in the bottom of our chicken house, do we have gravel and rock? Yes, we do. In certain areas where, we pull animals in, we have gravel and rock. It just makes a lot of sense sometimes to have clean spaces. Sheep, for example, you don't want to shear a sheep just out in the field somewhere. I mean, you need a clean surface to do that, or you're going to end up with a bunch of stuff in your wool. So this law is being enforced in the state of Oregon. It has already shut down some farms. There's an injunction on the definition of the law until it can be heard in court, since the League of Justice, or whoever they are, have filed a court
I love
case
the
in
League of Justice.
January
Okay.
to try and stop it. So currently, small dairy farmers,
Okay.
the way that I first read the article, you would think that they were
That's
going
good.
after.
Yeah, so you see here that they're going after, the small farms and everything else. And, what are we going to do with food? So when I was in Australia in 2011, they had shut down all of the dairy farms.
That was after I left there. So
Yeah.
that was new. Yeah.
Yeah, they shut down because the Green Party got in office.
Oh, yeah. Those guys are helpful.
And when the Green Party got in office, they started doing land reclamation. So they were buying farms. So in other words, they were instituting permits and structures to where farms could no longer sustain.
Yes.
So they would sell the farm. The government would buy the farm and then reclaim the land back to nature.
It becomes a park,
Yep.
It
Everything's
becomes
a
a park.
park. Yep.
but a park that you can't do anything on.
Correct.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's permanent. So then they made a deal with China to import their food
From China.
from other nations.
China can't feed itself.
No, just other nations altogether. But
Yeah.
like when we went to the store then to buy a cluster of grapes, those bags that they have at Costco of grapes?
Yeah.
How much does it cost here?
About $10.
Okay. This is in 2011.
Yeah.
It was $45 for a bag of grapes.
Because they were coming from Chile.
No, they were coming from America,
Oh.
but they were importing it. But because it was imported, the prices were up.
One of the best grape growing areas on the planet is the Hunter Valley in New South Wales.
They don't have it.
That's a
Wine
yeah.
is.
Yeah, that's wine.
You can
Yeah.
do wine.
You can grow any kind of grape there, though.
Yeah, but I understand. I've been there, but they
Yeah.
have. What I'm saying is that they
Wow.
were growing wine.
Yeah.
Wine grapes,
Yeah.
but not grapes for consumption.
Not
The
table
food,
grapes. Yeah.
food consumption was like down to almost nothing. Even my friend who was a sheep farmer,
Mm-hmm.
the cost of farming the sheep was barely enough to do anything with. It was more of
Wow.
a hobby.
Yeah.
And so he had to end up growing merinos, a cross between merinos and also fur.
Mhm.
I mean, wool bearing.
Yeah.
And so that he could get a little bit of something off the wool and a little bit something off the meat. That
Wow.
was it.
Wow.
So understanding, and I warned people. I said, this is what's going to come to America,
Yep.
because what they're going to do is if they shut down the food production, and you can't even grow a garden in your house because of the water. Because we can skip up here in the same video, and he talks about the water.
Yep.
And having to have a same video.
Just to the time in
Just in time. Remember,
The different
I had you to move
spot.
forward in the time on that video.
Yep. Yeah. So it was requiring a water
on
right.
the
No,
depth.
don't play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had to.
Right
You have to
there.
come up with a water permit in order for you to still to do any kind of commercial farming. And if it's grow 1 carrot and sell it, you got to have the water permit.
Right.
And the water permits are not cheap, and the overhead on vegetables not very big.
No, and then they go into this. Go
Yeah.
ahead and play
So
this
go
real
ahead
quick.
and play it. Yeah.
And this is a rule that went into place back in 2021, and then it has slowly rolled out to the point where market gardeners with a half acre of land are now receiving cease and desist orders saying, you can't water your gardens. Figure out another way to do it.
Yep.
So under this rule, there's an exemption for commercial and industrial use,
But not
up
for
to
small farmers.
5,000
Yes.
gallons per day. Okay, so these
The exemption
gardeners
starts at
with a
5,000.
half acre of land
Yeah.
are probably using 1,000 gallons of water a day, not even 1,000 gallons of water a day. You would think that they're saying you're a commercial business, because if you are growing food for yourself, they still allow you to utilize, water from your well to grow a half-acre garden, up to a half-acre garden. There's a limit on that. But this is the story I read was about a half-acre market garden where the lady has been growing food and selling it to neighbors. It's been her primary income source. And they shut her down. Christina Del Campo
Yep.
has just over a half acre. She grows blueberries, local vegetables, things like that. Her farm is called Oak Song Farm near Eugene. She's operated there for 7 years, and she recently received a letter from the regional office of the Oregon Water Resources Department. It was a notification that the farm couldn't irrigate its commercial crops without a water right.
There you
According to Mike McCord, the Northwest Region Manager,
Oh yeah,
water is a finite resource. The system of appropriation has been in place since 1909 in Oregon. It allows us to better manage the resource by having a permitting system. So this exemption for 5,000 gallons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you understand that, without the water, you can't grow.
Mm-hmm.
So you think you have a well and that you own the water to that well. You don't.
No, you don't.
It belongs to the people.
Yeah, and water
which means
in
the government.
The
Yeah.
government.
That's their.
yeah, that's the
association.
government, not the people.
No.
But they use that terminology.
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is wicked.
It's-
Right.
well, it's like the People's Republic of Oregon, as we know it is.
Now let me ask you. So, like in Australia, every home has a cistern.
Mhm.
Yes.
And in America, can you have a cistern in your house to collect rainwater?
Maybe sort of.
No. You can't.
It-
Not in Oregon.
So
Not unless you hide it.
so there well, yeah, that's true too. But I can collect rainwater off my greenhouse, but I can't collect rainwater off of anything else. I did look into that.
Oh.
Okay. But my greenhouse is, 8 feet
Right.
by 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't a lot of water. I
So-
maybe fill up a 55 gallon
So in
drum in a year.
Australia, your toilet waters run off of rainwater. Your
Yes.
showers run off of rainwater.
Yep.
You wash your clothes with rainwater.
Yes. Yeah. You do everything that you can do with rainwater in Australia and not groundwater. I had the same issues. When I lived at Puckapunyal. We had cisterns everywhere. They were community ones,
Yeah.
but they still big ones. They would take all the rainwater off of all the flat top roofs
Yep.
of all the buildings there, and there were dozens of buildings there, and they would collect it all together, and then that was what you would use to irrigate anything in your yard, and all that.
Yeah, but you can't do that here. If I put in
Yeah.
a rain barrel off of
Yeah.
my house,
Yeah, you can go to. What's funny is you can go to Home Depot and you can see them for sale.
they are for sale, but I can't do it off of my house.
Yes, you cannot do it off your house.
That is correct.
Mhm.
That's what I'm trying to say is they say they own the water in the ground, but they also say they own the water that comes from the air.
Yeah,
It's control.
yeah. If there was
101.
a case I read about a little while ago here in Marion County, where a guy up in the canyon had taken from his creek and installed a little water wheel so he could generate some electricity.
Yeah.
And one of his neighbors ratted him out, and basically he got a multi-$1,000 fine for interfering with the free flow of water.
That's correct.
Okay, so he didn't even take any water out of the creek. He just spun a wheel.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you at all. You cannot do power generation off of any water in Oregon
Are you paying attention
that's
here?
not already basically done. So no, you cannot make yourself
I
a
know
little
this may
power
not be as
generation system.
I know this may not be as exciting as Measure 110 and all of that kind of stuff and everything else, but it has actually a longer term effect
This
Yeah.
is the fundamental
than
building
legalizing
blocks.
drugs or decriminalizing drugs.
Yes.
This has a much longer reach. So if you go up here to the other article that we have from the New York Post, New York Post had to actually do this compared to somewhere local.
Yep.
How come the local news didn't pick up on this and
Well,
make a
yeah,
report?
the story was busted by Tom Vilsack, congressman from Louisiana.
Not
you think
in Oregon.
Do you think Ron Wyden would have noticed,
Or
Or
I'm
Tina.
sure he got paid.
or anybody else
sure
in
they got
Oregon
paid.
for that
Who is
matter?
it that processes the titles for land?
Mm-hmm. County clerk.
That county clerk does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the county clerk sends it where?
To the state.
To the state.
To the
registry.
Secretary of State for
Oh.
registration.
For
Yes.
registration. Oh.
Yeah, especially if it's a business.
Yeah. So we looked up this article here from the New York Post, and it talks about. Do you have that? Can you pull that up right there?
Yeah, the Chinese Communist Party billionaire.
Secretly purchased 200,000 acres of U.S. land a decade ago, sparking bipartisan outrage. Where was that purchased? What area was that purchased in?
Oh, Oregon.
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 Oh, Oregon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And who does Tina Kotek and Even Brown had a really tight relationship with?
That would be the Chinese Communist
Oh,
Party.
the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah. And what's so fascinating is that you see that this guy got a sweetheart deal. It was kept on the down low.
$85 million to purchase 200,000 acres.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good deal.
Even 10 years ago.
Even 10 years
10
ago,
years
that'd be
ago, that
great
was a
deal.
really good deal.
Yeah.
$430,000, $430 an acre.
Yeah.
My God,
Yeah. Yeah.
man, I've got $800. I want two of them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I want that deal. How come I can't get that deal?
4
as a
years
citizen?
ago, 4 years ago, I looked at buying farmland.
Yeah.
Okay. And basically farmland in the Willamette Valley is almost $1 million an acre at the time.
Well,
Yeah.
It
So
was just insane.
comes and goes.
Yeah,
But there is great value. So again,
exactly. It's great farmland.
right.
oh, wait a minute. However, his purchase of the acreage does not appear in government records of land ownership by foreign investors.
Shocking.
How did he get away with that?
Well, because they hid it. That's why.
Communist China is purchasing U.S. agricultural land and subvert or sovereignty, undermined our agriculture industry, and encroach on our military. That's it. They are going after our military installations also.
Yeah, they've been doing that
Yeah, for a long
near
time.
military installations
Yeah.
a long time. They did it down in Texas, near Lackland Air Force Base, and they wanted to put up 600-foot towers.
And do they still own it?
No, the state of Texas made them sell it. Because it's
Chin's
Texas.
land ownership only came to light this week after the state publicly named one of its companies as the beneficial owner of the property.
Oops. Yeah.
So sorry.
Oh, so in other words, they had a
government incompetence
they
outed
had
him.
a
Good.
domestic agent that was in partnership with him.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course they did.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the question you always have to ask is okay, so how many more of these deals do we not know about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a Ukrainian one for.
Well, there's Montana also has been bought
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Where was that in Central or Eastern Oregon that Hillary had brokered that deal when she was Secretary of State?
Oh,
For
yeah. The
for
uranium one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Selling national assets to the Russians.
Mm-hmm.
But wait a minute.
Yeah.
There was something about Russia, I remember. I just vaguely. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Who owed favors to who?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the same thing. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I will mention that, the state of New York is preparing to seize Trump's properties on Monday, okay, because he can't come up with the impossible bond. All right. If you need, in order to get a $454 million bond, you have to have a company that can support that. And a bond is like an insurance policy. So the policy has to exist. There's no policy that exists anywhere on the planet
To do that.
to do that. And you have to come up with 2-to-1 in terms of cash for it, for the bond. So you have to have nearly $1 billion in cash in order to float the bond.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was done on purpose. And yes, it's land. And yes, it's punishing Trump. And so, yes, you're going to see Trump's assets in New York seized on Monday, probably, and on auction and sold off by the end of the week. I guarantee you it's going to be that fast. because if he goes to when he goes to appeal, and he's going to appeal on it, he's going to win on appeal. All right, but by that time the properties will be sold, and Bloomberg or whoever wants to buy those things up for a song is going to get them. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with your small farms here in Oregon.
Right.
They're going to shut them down because you don't have a water right.
Right. They'll fine you exorbitantly.
And then fine you $10,000 a day if you try. And they bought satellite time with COVID money to monitor you.
Yes, that's
all right. So the state of Oregon got COVID money, and the first thing they said is, let's spy on Oregonians. Perfect. So they're spying on Oregonian farmers to figure out who's got a half-acre farm, and they're like, we're going to get that guy because he's got vegetables.
Yeah, but they're going to go after the small farm.
Yes, because of the kulaks.
Yeah, because what'll happen is you shut down enough small farms, and then you take those over.
Yeah.
Nobody pays attention to that. They don't pay attention to the small farmer.
The 10-acre farm, the 2-acre farm, doesn't matter.
Half-acre farm, acre farm. No one pays attention to that. They pay attention to the great big guys because the great big guys are going to be yelling the most.
Well, the great big guys demanded the CAFO change.
Yeah.
From the Department of Agriculture. And, of course, the Department of Agriculture was like, okay, dudes.
Yeah, but who are the great big guys? Oh, I know. They're Chinese businessmen that own 200,000 acres.
That sounds crazy. I couldn't believe. Maybe it's Monsanto. Maybe it's some other big ag industries as well. Could be. Maybe they're all like that. Maybe it's Tyson Foods, which wants to hire illegal aliens and not Americans.
I'm not quoting anybody. I'm just saying.
We're just speculating here.
It's just speculation.
Openly.
This is a commentary. This is not news. We're commentators.
Hello.
And this isn't news, so don't go off of that. What I'm saying is that you've got this guy who has 200,000 acres in Oregon that nobody knew about until just recently, and he's apparently owned it for quite a while.
10 years.
10 years. And it's just now come out.
Potato. I'm a commentator.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Potato. I'm just reading this still.
Oh, okay.
You come down to the things that are going on with the small farmers, and no one cares about what's her name in McMinnville that has 11 cows, 2 milking cows.
Yeah, a couple of cows. It's 9 goats. Half a dozen chickens. What's kind of entertaining to me is that like 5 years ago, I didn't know anybody who owned chickens. Now I know a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, because it went down. You should probably get your own chickens before they make it so you can't have them.
Yep.
But they're going to make it so that you can't have them in rural areas.
Or the city.
That's what I meant city. I didn't mean rural.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the city. And then, then they go after the person that, has an acre land. And pretty soon you can't have it there either. And then they're going to arm somebody to come out and seize your chickens or just destroy them. Probably destroy them.
Yep. For your safety.
Yeah,
They might have avian bird flu.
No, for the people's safety.
For the people's safety. So those chickens are pooping
No, you're going to hear it. If I'm hearing this right now, where it has to do to protect the people, what you're going to hear is over and over again here. This is for the good of the people.
Yep.
And that is such communist language. It's not even funny.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Pure. It is.
It is pure to protect the people. The people own the people don't own it. I don't own somebody else's well. If I go over there and I plug a hose into the thing, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah. If you went into someone else's well in Texas and to try to take their water out of their well, that would be one of the last things you ever do.
I'm talking about
water is serious there. And here, I had a discussion on Twitter with a guy who was like, no, the water belongs to all the people. And he was totally down with the whole, and I was like, this is socialism you're talking about. No, it's not socialism.
Sure it is.
It's just that we have to protect our natural resources from overuse. And I'm like, really? So who protects the land better than the person who lives on it?
Right.
Or whose livelihood is tied to it? Okay. If that land is destroyed, if that natural resource is wiped out, who suffers the most? Some chucklehead in Portland or the guy who's living on it? Of course, the guy who's living on it.
Yeah.
But we have chuckleheads in Portland who are like, no, I want to tell you how to live. And oh yeah, by the way, I want all of Oregon to be a parkland for me to enjoy when I'm flying from Portland to somewhere else in the country, so I can look down and see perfect green and not have to see those crop circles of people farming in Eastern Oregon.
Yeah, where they water.
You know,
Where they water. It with
where
the
there's
pivots.
irrigation going on.
Mm-hmm.
They want to fly over and see desert.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's literally. I've read the plans out of Bonneville Power. They spend $330 million a year annually budgeted to buy up land in Oregon and Washington and Idaho and keep it. And the federal government doesn't deserve to own a single acre anywhere. The national parks should not exist. How about that one?
Hello.
All right. Land should be privately owned, period. Full stop. The state of Oregon should not own a single acre.
Come on.
And otherwise, it's just communism.
Yes.
I'm sorry. The state does not have the right to own land. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
When you read our original founders, they did not believe in the state owning anything.
Mm-hmm.
The federal government should not own the District of Columbia. They should be renting the land from Maryland and Virginia and Delaware and going, Mother, may I please show up today and go onto your property.
Yeah.
That's the only way the federal government should even have anything to park anywhere.
That way you
All
can
right.
have some checks in place.
Most of the federal military installations are leased from the states or from the counties that they exist in. Okay, or in the case of Fort Lewis, were granted was a land grant from the county to the Army on a lease system. Okay,
It's a land grant.
so it was a land grant
lease.
to the Army for World War I. And there's no reason for the federal government to own 70% of Nevada and 50% of Oregon. All right. And then we
federal
worry about
government.
how the logging. So we got 7 people in a building that doesn't know anything about logging, deciding how many, trees are going to get cut down, taking 40% of Oregon state land and making it off limits to logging. So there's one thing that's going to happen to it. It's going to burn.
Yes.
That's what's going to happen.
That's
It's going to
exactly
burn.
what'll
And when it
happen.
burns, it's going to be horrific.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to go climate change. No, it's not. It's those 7 people. It's
poor-
their fault.
Poor management.
Period.
It
Full
is
stop.
it is a renewable source.
Mm-hmm.
Trees grow faster here than they do 10 times faster here than they do anywhere else in the world.
It's pretty
in
awesome.
Oregon.
Temperate rainforest is what
Yes.
they call it.
And it's disgusting
It's-
how they treat everything around here.
It's a renewable source.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you want to know why housing is expensive?
Mm-hmm.
Gee, I don't know. We can't get timber
Yeah.
except from Siberia.
And you can't get water to make cement with.
And we have more water than we know what to do with. But
No,
we're,
we
you
don't.
know,
We were in a drought.
but
We had a week of sunshine. We're in a drought.
drought with, oh my God, it hasn't rained in an hour. So it's drought.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a few months ago, they were like, it's an impending drought coming to Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
January 6th.
Yeah.
On a day that was the day that the state of Oregon declared drought for this year.
6 days in.
6 days in. They're like, in the middle of winter. Yeah.
And it
amazing.
goes, well, why
Because
did they do it?
it's federal money
It's
they
federal money.
get. It's a giant cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, if we have a drought, we need bailout money for it.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a giant fire, the Beachy Creek fire was deliberately allowed to burn. I'm going to say this controversially.
Yeah.
Was deliberately allowed to burn out of hand so it would be a bigger fire so the state of Oregon would get more money for it.
Well, that's
No state resources were ever put to the Beachy Creek fire in 2020.
Yeah.
All right. No Marion County resources were put to it. The only people that fought the Beachy Creek fire were the local fire departments, volunteer fire departments in the canyon, and ranchers and farmers that lived out there. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
it. We saw the sheriff drive by one time.
That's a
They
known,
did their evacuation, and then they were never seen again
That's
because
a
they were in
known-
Salem managing the animal evacuation.
Mm-hmm. It's a known quantity that the state of Oregon has done that for how long? How many
Yeah.
years? I mean, from my childhood, that was known of.
Yeah.
That the state state's practice with forestry is to let it burn so that they can get the federal money in.
Yeah.
decades, literally, that they've been doing this, and it's wicked because it destroys people and it destroys their livelihood and it destroys the. I mean, it will require generations to return before of continuing to be able to return the wealth that was lost because of it.
Oh yeah.
People's wealth is tied up in the forestry.
Yeah.
Right. They've intentionally. I mean, that's why the government is buying it.
Mhm.
That's why this guy, this Chinese man. I mean, he's 50 years. He's 2 years older than me. You know, he's a internet gaming, billionaire or whatever. I think his net worth was up around $1 billion. But
Yeah, it's probably online gaming or gambling or something. Yeah.
But anyhow, I mean, just thrown money at people. Lives in California part time. Also, it's just
It's probably full time now because it goes back. You might not ever get to leave.
Right. The get that the forced vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, it's talking about the what you're looking at for what the state and what the government, the federal government also is doing, and how they're controlling and manipulating people. The whole even if you will concept of the people, by the people, for the people. It's a farce.
It's of the government, by the government, against the people.
Right.
That's what we have right now.
Yeah. And this is why we bring these things up and reveal them and expose them. There is a need for people to stop just sitting on their hands with their head in the sand, and saying, well, I
really need that
can't,
flag.
I can't do anything now. We need to be people of action. You prepare your mind for action, then you go and do.
Yep.
You engage. You educate people, and it's not in a manner of just beating them over the head. There are people that simply don't understand or don't even know what's going on.
No.
And so that's why it's important to share these type of things that we're talking about today.
There's so much trust in the government system that they have our best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm.
That even conservative people don't know these things that we're even talking about right here, right now. They don't know these things are going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you have a full life and you're running a business and et cetera, you just don't have the time
Right.
to keep up with it, which is why you should be listening to us while you're doing other work.
Amen.
Yeah, River Roundtable.
Yeah, we're trying to stay focused on Oregon.
Yep.
Amen.
We'll throw some national stuff in there, but we are trying to stay focused on Oregon and what is happening in our own state.
Yeah.
And what is going on. And the reason that I am as a pastor have been involved in this because, and I can't speak for Pastor Andrew, but I'll speak for myself, is because this is unrighteous.
Yeah.
It destroys the moral fiber of the family and inheritance to family. Land is handed down from generation to generation. And many times some of these farms and everything else have been in families for many, many generations.
Yep.
And they're doing everything they can. They don't care about inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
They care about getting $1.298 in their pocket, and then when they're done with their political career, they go on a book tour for the rest of their life, and they make millions and millions of dollars, and then they move to another state. They don't care about Oregon. They don't care whether your family has an inheritance. They don't care. I run into people all the time, and they open their mouth and they say things, and they don't take into view how that affects the children.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How it affects the grandchildren. How that affects the next generation, because they don't care about that whole thing.
Yeah.
If they cared about that, then they wouldn't do the agenda that they're doing in schools.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And the agenda that they have in just, all the laws that they've been passing. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about any of that. They care about the bottom line of how much they're making and then how much power they can get.
Mm-hmm.
Power-hungry people. They're insecure, and they believe their position and their opinion will carry some kind of change that will benefit, but it doesn't benefit. And when they know it doesn't benefit, they still carry it on.
Because then they'd have to admit they're wrong.
I mean, I've known
reasons.
people. I could go into stories of things that I know, but it just comes down to you have got to stand up, and we can change the state. The state can change. We're not so far gone that we can't change things.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It just comes down to we're in another election season,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to vote. you have got to, emphatically, you have got to go out and vote. If you don't want, I don't care whether you're a liberal or whether you're a conservative or whether you are an independent. And I don't care what you are in that area. You have got to vote to where it affects generations to come. I'm not talking about feelings and emotions. Words don't kill people. Starving them does.
That's true.
Words hurt
Very
people's
true.
feelings. Maybe you can go to some psychologist or something and get it taken care of because words hurt you. No, I'm serious. You know, but words don't starve you. Laws do. And when they start passing laws that affect your children and your children's children, you should be standing up saying this is wrong. When they pass laws to sterilize our children without your permission, you should be standing up as a parent saying, no, that's not going to happen. I want to have grandchildren. When they pass laws saying, you know, we're going to control your water and we're going to control your resources and we're going to control all these things and we're going to sell it off to the highest bidder, whether they're from from the United States or not.
Yep.
You should be very concerned. And listen, going out and waving a flag and banners and little billboards isn't going to change anything. Your change is going to come because you go in and you vote. Well, you know, that's all rigged. That's why I don't vote. Well, you just voted. You were gaslighted into believing that your vote doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
They all do count, whether you cast it or not.
That's
it
correct.
gets used.
Yeah, if you don't cast your vote, it's going to go to somebody else. Just so you know, you voted.
Yep.
I encourage you to educate yourself and to figure out what is really going on. I mean, it's out here. You don't have to go very far to figure out that you have a Chinese party billionaire buying up secretly purchasing 200,000 acres at $450 an acre. And there's something behind it. Who benefited from that?
Wow.
Who benefited from it? That's what you find out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of
Because
fact.
somebody benefited from it.
Yes, absolutely.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have been secret.
That's right.
Who
you don't-
benefits?
you don't do that in secret unless you have a reason to.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something that is going on there. First of all, we shouldn't be selling off our assets, our land, our resources to people that hate who we are.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely not.
Yep.
And we need to encourage and enable our people to be able to be self-sufficient.
You ever wonder? You wonder why there's not a fentanyl problem in Europe?
Because there's no fentanyl in Europe.
You ever wonder why there's not a fentanyl problem in China?
Because that's where it comes from.
You ever wonder why there's not a fentanyl problem in Africa where there is poverty, real poverty?
Oh, yeah. But there's no fentanyl because the Chinese don't want it to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there a fentanyl problem in America? It's not in Mexico.
No.
There's
it
not a
comes
fentanyl
through
problem.
Mexico, but
There's
doesn't
not a
stay there.
problem of fentanyl in Mexico.
Or Canada.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah,
Mhm.
just the United States.
Just the United States. And did you ever wonder why they're not shipping immigrants to Oregon?
well, we're getting a few, but not the way the east side of the
not like
country
the
is.
eastern side is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's,
But, yeah.
there's buses coming here.
Not like New York.
We see a couple of buses. We don't. So in the last 3 months, Chicago got over 100,000.
Yeah,
That's the kind of numbers that we're talking
telling
about.
you that why is it that we're less alone? Because we're already demoralized in this state. They don't need to do anything more than what they've already done.
They don't
Yep.
need to dilute the water.
They don't need to dilute the water here.
Yeah,
It's
Oregon is already considered
done.
gone, and over.
Done.
Same with Washington, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
California is just California, and it's, you know, you talk to people. San Diego used to be a place that you could walk downtown, but you can't anymore.
Nope.
Because of homelessness. They took care of that with the homeless laws.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm just saying, you look at these things and there's an agenda behind it all.
Yep.
And the agenda is not the American family, that nuclear family.
Oh, that's the last thing that they want.
You know, they don't want you to have an opinion. There's businesses right now that are afraid, and right here in Salem, Oregon, that are afraid to put up an American flag because of the repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's not healthy.
Telling you there's something wrong. When people start feeling threatened to live a life of conviction, there's something wrong. So you need to wake up and smell the coffee.
Amen. Be engaged. Talk to your neighbors. Get to know them. Let them know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and encourage them. Be a voice of truth and of love, and a voice of righteousness. That's, you know, we were talking about where the generational blessing is from God. It's in the righteous.
Yeah.
Amen. Don't worry about. Don't fret and worry and die over wickedness, but don't be part of it, because it's going to end.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you could join us today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you, KSLM, and thank you, River Church, for supporting this. We love you.
Amen.
We'll see you next week. Bye.